Hey y'all, it's Cam.
Hey y'all, it's Desinae.
Hey, it's Jada.
Hey, it's Jay, and you're listening to 4 Deep, a podcast with four Black women in their 20-somethings who aren't afraid to get deep with it.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at 4DPod. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, don't forget to rate us 5 stars. And if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your post notifications.
And as always, let us know what you think of every episode, rated 1 to 4 deep. You can let us know in our comments. You can let us know in our DMs. You can let us know on our Spotify poll. I think last episode. I always say last week. Last episode was a cute little light, you know, whatever. But today. I was going to wait for Jada to say it. She's going to be like, buckle up.
Yes, following Cam's lead, y'all better buckle up, grab your tea. We're getting deep. I need you to be deep couch sitting when you're listening to this because y'all, we're talking about overcoming fear, okay, and how to deal with failing. We're poking the bear. We're poking the bear today, and we're gonna get a little deep. We're gonna get a little confronting, okay, and we're gonna have that mirror right here. So grab yours and come on, y'all. Let's go ahead and get deep with it.
Okay, so as we're starting to do, we're gonna start every episode with a quote, and go from that with our quad quotes. In this episode, our quote is: "Every failure is a lesson. If you're not ready to fail, you're not ready to succeed." Quoted by Anonymous. We don't know who it came from, but boy, did they drag. They dragged. So yeah, how do y'all interpret that quote and just approach that quote? Like, you want to succeed, but you have to be ready to fail. It's not going to be an easy ride. How does that sit with y'all?
So I feel like you have to learn, you know what I'm saying? And in order to learn, like, you're gonna fail. Like, you won't learn unless you do fail. Like, a perfect example would be like, like, I used to like run the hurdles when I used to like run track. And like, it's scary. Like, it's scary. First of all, you're not only scared to lose, you're scared to fall. You're scared to fall. You know what I'm saying? And really hurt yourself. And I don't know, man. You have to jump over that first hurdle. Like, you have to be willing to fall over that first hurdle to even learn how to get over it in the first place. Otherwise, you'll never even know what it feels like. So you really do like have to go out there. You have to be, if you want to experience anything, you have to be willing to fail at that thing a couple of times, because you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to, be just great, exceptional the first time around. You actually do something. So you have to be willing to fail a little bit. You have to be willing to, go through that trial and error phase before you can actually reach that level of success. Everything is going to take some practice.
Wow, you got real deep. Come on,
man. Like, you gotta fall over the hurdle for you to learn how to get over it. Hey, I don't want to fall. I don't wanna.
Gotta be willing to, at least.
I know. Oh wow, yeah.
So for me, I would say this was something that was really hard for me to learn because I was always like little miss don't do wrong, you know what I'm saying? And I was just so used to success that I felt like failure was like failure, like end of the world. Like, and so I had to realize, like, okay, you're gonna make some mistakes, you're going to, you're gonna have to fall, like you said, Des, to really understand what true success is. Because if you're just coasting through it, you're not even going to appreciate it. And I have that tattoo about 50-50 because without the failures or without the downtimes, the successes wouldn't be what they are without them. So it's really something that I've had to like chew on, meditate on, internalize, and really like get over, especially like failing publicly, like, and having all eyes on you. Like, it's okay to fail, in private, and you can kind of like get over that a little easier, but like failing when you have a lot of eyes on you, that makes it even more stressful. And so having all of that is just like something that comes with life. It comes with the challenges, but it also comes with the success. So I'm happy to open up my arms to failure a little bit wider each year, just because I know that I'm going places. And if that's the case, then I have to be comfortable with baby girl over there.
And I
Yeah.
like that you said that, opening your arms wide to failure, because I don't want to fail. If I'm being honest right now, I don't want to fail. I'm like, I just need to get out of this school. I need to graduate. I need to go.
Yeah.
I don't want to fail anything. I need to pass it and pass it the first time and get out. And so I feel like that's one of the biggest things that I think about all the time. Like, I don't want to do nothing wrong. Like, I hear of classmates making mistakes, and some crazy mistakes. And it's like, I know this part of it is learning, but I'm just like, I want to be prepared. I want to be so prepared that my professors are impressed and that I will never do anything wrong. And I'm like, that's just not realistic. Yeah. I am not going to be the golden student that comes in there and just gets everything right the first time. Like, I'm going to fail, but I really don't want to. Oh, it's a work in progress. So maybe we're going to be talking to me today.
Yeah, I feel that too. Like, especially, I think part of it too is even experiencing that like fear of failing is definitely humbling and kind of makes you appreciate when you do succeed. Like, just, relating to school, I remember my first year of college, math was always my thing. That was my girl. And I came first year, I had to take math 20B. Woo! I haven't said the name of that class in a long time. At my previous homes, that whole phrase right there was rebuked from the house. We didn't talk about that, but we've overcome. But yeah, that class, it was bad. It was terrible. Like, literally, I remember coming home winter break crying to my mama, like, I don't think I'm gonna pass. Like, it's so hard. I don't know how I'm gonna do. And by the grace of God, because I'm sorry, but it wasn't me. It was God. By the grace of God and that curve, I passed with a C, and we got on through. And just the fear alone of the very high chance of not passing that class and failing it was real. And it helped me like get it, like it was a reality check. Like, we can't play. We don't play no games when it comes to these classes, especially not no math class. And the 20 series, this is calculus. So it'll really get you right. And look, now graduated, math and computer science degree, we made it through. But couldn't have got through without them that little fear. So definitely it was a lesson, whether it was a complete failure or even close to almost being one. Those really be the ones that teach you, like, yeah, it's real out here. But there's so many people who do get through it too. That was one thing that also helped me get through a lot of the fears I had during undergrad, was if they got through this class, I could do it too. And that kind of helps me a lot too. Like, even when I was learning how to drive, I saw all these people know how to drive. I could do it too. Ain't too much to be scared about. So that kind of helps me out a lot. Okay, like, they know how to do it, and who knows what kind of person they are. So I could do it. So that kind of helps me through. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but hey, I made it this far. But yeah,
Girl, you better than
it's
me.
hard.
I failed that class the first time. That was my first F ever.
Girl. And I'm not surprised at all.
Girl.
That class was hard.
And I was taking econ and I was taking math 18 at the same time. So I was like really ODing. I was ODing.
Oh,
was math 18 the calculus, the statistics one?
No, it was the
linear algebra.
The matrices. Yeah.
That was my girl.
I love that class. I loved that class.
Yes.
Okay. We can't geek out about math.
Right. Next session.
Meanwhile, math 10 series was whooping me. So this ain't even that hard. Everybody else doing harder stuff. I hate math.
Girl, that 10B was hard too. It's something about that math B.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, in terms of like fear, like once you experience it, it is an experience that humbles you a little bit. So I would say college definitely gave me a failure shock. Coming from really anybody who got into UCSD or like, any great college, like you did very, very, very well in high school. You're used to getting straight A's, and maybe not getting nothing lower than a B. And I came to college in my first quarter. I got 4 units. And I was sitting there hysterical because I had never experienced nothing like that before. Like I had a professor literally tell me, like, cause now I'm scared, like, okay, I'm about to fail this class. It was a stats class. Okay, I'm about to fail this class. Like, let me go talk to the professor. You know what he told me? He said, well, anybody who's been doing, this bad thus far is not gonna get an A in the final. So you might as well drop this class. Because I had to get an A on the final to pass that class.
Oh, wow.
And I was just crying because I'm like, oh my gosh, like this has never happened to me. Like and I had to just accept it. Like I had to drop the class and I had to accept that. And it's just like accepting the failure and then still realizing that it's still gonna be okay. Like I retook it, passed it with a different professor.
Amen.
Professor.
Oh, that's right. Learn from your mistakes.
Girl, exactly. And so it's really just like accepting that. And then going forward in college, I just felt like after that first initial failure, you know what I'm saying? After never having dealt with it, it made me stronger, literally. And I just, anytime there was a class that was like difficult, like obviously like I did my best. I go to office hours, whatever. But if I did fail it, it's like, okay, you just gotta take it again. You know what I'm saying? Okay, get back up and try again. Like it'll be okay. So dealing with failure too is just like, once you face it, you won't be as scared, when something like that rolls around again. So like when you embrace that failure, you know what I'm saying, you'll learn how to deal with it better. Because the thing is, everybody's going to fail. The most important thing is learning how to deal with that failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think humble for sure.
Girl,
for sure. And even talking about like fear, and whether it's in college or in life, starting a new position, being in a new area, starting a new job, going to grad school, that's a whole nother. It's gonna come with imposter syndrome. It's bound to happen. I mean, I recently talked to someone at my job last week. She's been working at the job for over a decade. She's in a manager position and she's talking about feeling like imposter syndrome. And so like it's something that doesn't go away. And like dealing with that's what has helped me get through imposter syndrome and that feeling like I don't belong, or maybe I'm here for another reason, not for my intellect or not for my skills, but because they just needed a diversity hire or they needed to meet a quota, like having that feeling. And what has helped me work through that and work through those feelings is definitely finding a community with people who get what I'm going through. And sometimes you really got to narrow it down, because like in college, like, I had my folks within BSU and NSBE and things of that sort. And, those are my people, fist up. But I didn't really have anybody who understood like what I was going through class by class. Like, because that's where it was getting real. Social, cool. We can deal with that. Go to events, whatever, get to meet more people, blah, blah, blah. But when I was going through these homework assignments and struggling and not knowing what professor or who to pick or what class to choose, I was alone. And so I'm feeling like, dang, do I even belong in this major? Do I even belong here? Am I doing the right thing? Should I switch? What should I do? And once I tapped into like the orgs on campus and the people on campus who were going down a similar path as me, that's where that support kicked in. And don't get me wrong, like my other friends were supportive. It's just like, you got to surround yourself with people who get it and who really get what you're going through. And as much as you want, like, even for other people, as much as I would want to be there for them and be like, no, I get it, sometimes I really don't. Like, and you have to encourage your friends, find somebody in that same area as you that you can relate to in this aspect. Because if you come vent it to me, I'm always going to be there, but I'm not going to be able to relate and give you that advice that you need. So I would definitely suggest like finding someone, whether it be at work, that joined around the same time as you. I have people at work that we check in every month. We joined around the same time, similar department, similar roles, and we check in with each other just to like help each other out when it comes like to those feelings of imposter syndrome. Yeah. So how have y'all dealt with imposter syndrome, or how are y'all dealing with it? What do y'all do? Because it's hard. Crickets.
Well, I would say like I get imposter syndrome a lot, especially with Green Line Planner. Because a lot of times I'm like, who am I to be sitting here telling these people what to do? And it's like I just sometimes I really feel very unprepared and just kind of like, I'm faking y'all. like, ha, you know, like, when you gonna find out? Like, you know, and that's really what imposter syndrome is. It's like you feel scared that somebody's gonna realize that you're not the real thing, and it's like then you're gonna get called out on it. But it's like, no, like, you belong there. You're there for a reason. You're operating that space for a reason. And it's something that really helps me is just understanding that it's not me by myself ever. Like, I have God, and God is equipping me. And sometimes, most times, he will call you to things not because you're already equipped, but because he's going to equip you. So I just have to realize that if it was all on me, oh, best believe I wasn't going to be here, but it's not just me. So I have to continue to remind myself of who's really in the driver's seat, and who's really the CEO. And it's he is not
That's
me.
real.
So that's really been the major thing, because people will always be like, oh my gosh, you're this, and they'll always get on the call with me and be like, oh, I was so like anxious or nervous to get on the call with you. And I'm like, what, girl? Why? I'm just sitting in my bed. Like, I just went to like tropical smoothie earlier. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm a normal human being. And it's just like, you know, they really put me on this like pedestal, and sometimes like that pressure is a lot. But yeah, God is he's my foundation, and he's definitely that glue holding me up, because I would not be there at all.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, what imposter syndrome has been looking, I feel like I've had different points of it at different times, because it's always been a thing. I would like to say at first I didn't deal with it. Like, it just kind of was like there. It's like whatever. And it wasn't like persistent either. It would just kind of like be a momentary like thought that would pop in my head, and I kind of just would like ignore it, not give it any attention, and not coming from a place of like consciously trying to not give it any attention. I just was like indifferent. I just couldn't care. Like, I don't know. It's hard to describe what it was. But now I feel like what it looks like for me is kind of like my achievements aren't earned, or like feeling like unworthy of success, or like what I'm doing isn't like, oh, like, you know, you just got lucky, or like, you know, that test just happened to be easy, or like, you know, like I've never been able to like validate all the work that I put into stuff. Because like, for example, last year with all the tests that I was taking, all the classes that I had, those were the best grades that I've like still to this day, the best grades that I've ever gotten since graduating high school. Like, just being honest. And there's been a lot of classes and a lot of school in between that time. And I've never done that well before. And I felt like I didn't work hard enough for it though. Like, I felt like I was trying to say like, oh, well, you kind of finessed it, or, you know, you didn't study for all those exams fully the way you should have, or how do you even know that you really know the information, because, you know, you forget it later. Nobody else forgets the information. So it's kind of like I never let myself like have anything. And so, and it's also hard too, because, you know, when you think of imposter syndrome, a lot of times you think of it like it's like environmental, like you stick out because everybody else around you earned their place there, and you're just there for whatever reasons that serve the environment that you're in. Like, they hired you because they needed to meet a quota, or it looks good, or, you know, whatever the case may be. But being at Howard, that's not necessarily a factor anymore. So now it's kind of like, okay, I'm here among a bunch of other Black people who are also at the top of their classes and have these kinds of ranking and these kinds of qualifications. So it's like, I feel like they're the ones who are valid in their success, and I'm the one who's just trying to like scrape it all together. Because I'm like, well, my trajectory here didn't look like theirs, and I had to retake a lot of classes, and I had to teach myself how to be focused and learn how to study, and I feel like it just came to other people. So like, yeah, I feel like a lot of times I feel like a fraud. And I'm like, do I even really know what I'm talking about? Like, even now, seeing patients, it's kind of like one of those thoughts that you have. Like, yesterday when I was talking to my cousin, she was like, or no, her husband, he had asked me like, oh, so, you know, if you're drinking coffee, like, how long should you wait after you drink coffee to brush your teeth? And I know the answer is 30 minutes. And they asked me why, and I explained it, and I explained it all right. But when I went home, I still Googled it because I didn't believe that I told them correct information. So it's like little stuff like that. Like, why not just let myself have something? But I felt like, like I'm sitting in front of her. She's a doctor of like 12 years, I think. And so I'm like, I gotta come correct. I gotta come with my facts. She's asking me something that she doesn't know about. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
She's texted me before on it, like, when she's on shift in the ER, like, oh, my patient came in, they have like oral sores because of their braces. What can you do for them? And I'm like, they can go see the orthodontist, but that's it. But I'm like, is that even a valid opinion? Like, I don't like, I just can't let myself have anything. And so I'm in the process of trying to figure out how to deal with it. Cause normally I just like ignore it and then when it pops up again, I'm like, I let myself like, I get a little down on myself. But yeah, I don't know. But one of the things that while we were going through midterms this last go around, we had a Bible study on like the front lawn of our school for our Christian Dental Association. It was really nice. But one of the girls, she's a D2 student, she had gave us a scripture and she said, he who is perfect in knowledge is with you. And so that is one thing that I was like constantly repeating to myself, because it's like, I don't have to try and be the one who has all the answers. I don't have to be the one who like, I don't always have to be fully prepared, or I don't have to try and like justify my actions. Because at the end of the day, in a situation like yesterday, I didn't trust my knowledge, but obviously the one who has perfect knowledge gave me the confidence and the ability to be able to answer that question and answer it perfectly. So I'm like, I can do this. Like, so I always tell myself that, like, when I go into every situation, whether it's a clinical situation or class or an exam or a test, it's like the one who's in perfect knowledge is with you. So I'm like, all right, I can't be an imposter if he's with me, because he qualified me to be here in the first place.
Yeah.
When other schools pass me up, I'm here. So it's like, this means something. So I don't have to look for validation, or I don't have to try and make myself, I should probably go easier on myself. Yeah, for sure. But I shouldn't have to like find it within myself when the facts are there. Like, God qualified me. That's just in the story, point blank, period. I don't know what else. I don't know what to tell my mind. I don't know what else to tell the enemy who's lying to me. I don't know what else to tell the people around me. So yeah.
That's great.
Okay. Oh wow. I'm just soaking that in, because that was real. Like, just being in those moments where, just like you said, like you tell somebody the answer, the answer, and then later you go back and fact check yourself. Like, you knew this, I knew this. Why am I second guessing myself? And I think a lot of times that comes with like being in a new space, or also being in a position that you've never seen anyone in before, or anyone that like anyone that you look up to in before. I think that's a new thing too, because it's like, how dare I be confident and know something that somebody else may not know, or like how dare I be a little bit more knowledgeable in this area and be that source for someone. Like, like, I'm supposed to be looking up to you, you're supposed to be knowing everything and teaching me, or it's such a shaky area.
Another thing you can have imposter syndrome about, because I have it all the time, is like a future desire I'm scared that I'll never like achieve or reach. Like, people would tell me all the time, like, Jada, you know, I could see you're gonna be somebody's wife. And I'm like, stop kidding. Like, stop. That was a cute little joke, but like, and it just feels like imposter syndrome when I even like try to place myself in that space in the future. And I just really feel like that's crazy. Like, you can really have imposter syndrome for things that haven't even happened yet and that you really, really want. And you're like, but who am I? And it's just like, And I just have to always, the same thing, go to God, because it's like, no, like, God told me. Yeah, God told me, like, that's what it's gonna be. So,
and that's it.
I can't question it. Like, that's word.
Moving on to that cycle of perfectionism, being scared to fail, procrastination, self-sabotage, which then leads to failure. Like, this these are all things that can be avoided, but also all things that are normal parts of life. And so when it comes to wanting to be a perfectionist, or just the idea of being a perfectionist, it's the fear of, getting something wrong and being, scared to fail, which is normal. We're all going to fail. Procrastination, because you're scared to fail, so you try to put that task off. And now self-sabotage, because now you're not going to do anything that you want to succeed. And now we're back at failure. And so it's really a cycle. And it's normal though. Like we just talked about going through, really, Jada, when you said having imposter syndrome for something that hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to reflect on that one, because
that's a lot to unpack.
Me too.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've probably been there and not realized like what that was.
And that's when self-sabotage really kicks in.
Yeah. Like maybe I'm not worthy. I don't deserve this.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
This was me. I feel like I have been self-sabotaging. Like I have been like holding back my professional real estate career because of like how little people I've ever seen like as a real estate professional. Especially Black women. Like, yeah, I know like a lot of like Black women who are in real estate, like they do stay together. Like there are a lot of communities, but they are not big. Whether it's like, even if you're just like a real estate agent, yes, but that's not my area. And my area is more so white, male, whatever. And so when I first graduated from college, and I graduated with a real estate and development degree, like, girl, you got that degree. And this is like a mix of failure and imposter syndrome, because I felt like I didn't know what I needed to know, or like I couldn't, like, are you really a real estate professional? Like, you're not really a real estate professional. Like, it was like that type of imposter. But it's like, I know all this stuff about like, girl, you did all of that schooling to know about real estate. You know about real estate. You did a capstone. Like you have an actual competition for land in San Diego. Like you really been doing it. And then once I graduated, it was like like I was very scared. And it's also like a confession for me. Is that I have the fear of being broke. That's like one of the biggest fears that I struggle with. Like, and it's something that not only affects me mentally, but something that affects me physically, where I'll get anxiety when I don't know where my next check is coming from, or like whatever the case may be. And so because I had that fear of going broke, and then I also had that imposter syndrome of, well, you can't find a job as a real estate professional because you're not that, but really I am. I took any job that I could get because I wanted to get that money, because I was scared to go broke. And it has just slowed down my process of actually getting to where I want to go, just self-sabotaging myself, just like slowing down my process of who I'm actually supposed to be. And I did that for so long, like just taking random jobs, taking finance jobs. That's why I was stuck in finance for so long, because I was so scared to jump out into that deep end to get an actual job related to real estate, that I was willing to be where I was comfortable and keep getting these finance jobs that I absolutely hated, out of fear of going broke. So I just allowed myself to be somebody I didn't want to be, instead of being who deep down I knew I was, who God told me I was, who, what I'm saying, because I had that fear that maybe I wouldn't be good enough, maybe I don't belong in that sector, because there aren't a lot of people who look like me in that sector. And then being broke, it was just like, it just fear all in one big thing, just holding me back from everything that I really truly actually want to do. And I feel like I've been working on it, like consciously, like working on, like, y'all know, like I'm already like in another job that like I actually like, that's actually related to what I want to do. So like I'm super proud about that. But I do still have like what Jada was talking about in terms of like thinking about where I'm going to be at in the future, and like whether or not that's something that I can even actually be. Can I actually get to that point of a real estate professional? Like, can I really be, getting houses built and because I see a lot of, white men doing that. Maybe some white women. I haven't seen an HGTV show with a Black woman, you know what I'm saying, with this, with houses and this and that. And that's actually like one of my goals. So, like, that's where I want to get. Like, I want to have you know what I'm saying, something like that, where I'm running around doing the houses. And I've never seen a Black woman doing that. Or at least, and if she was doing it, she wasn't doing it on her own. She wasn't the lead. She was maybe a part of the process, but it wasn't.
She was the wife.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Or she's just a
Mm-hmm.
designer, or she's just
Mm-hmm.
the interior designer, or whatever the case may be. She's only a little part of the process. And I always said I always want to be like a bigger part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot to like, I keep thinking to myself, like, well, how am I gonna get there? How am I gonna get there? How am I gonna get there? And I'm trying to not think like you can never get there. Like I know it's gonna be a stride, but I'm just gonna have to stride. And so I'm still dealing with the fear of that and still like trying to like muster up the courage to push myself to that ultimate goal. And I feel like a lot of things that'll also help people when it comes to fear is finding some motivation outside of yourself. That's
Mm-hmm.
going to push you so that it's not like a selfish reason to want to do something. Because the fact that I've never seen a Black woman in a space that I would like to be in is scary. But I would like to be that person in that space for other Black girls who are interested in doing this, because I never seen that. And now I'm scared right now. So I want y'all to feel like y'all can do it. And I'm spooked. I'm shaking in my boots, but I'm still gonna do it because of a reason, you know what I'm saying, outside of myself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Think about your family, or think about anybody outside of yourself that you know what I'm saying, have a deeper purpose to push through that fear. Because sometimes just like your own selfish reasons is not gonna help you push through that fear. That fear will consume. So
Wow.
yeah, it's fear. Yeah. We're just gonna have to work alongside her.
Yeah. And I'm
I
gonna have
think
to
that
step
brings
into
up,
that. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it just makes me think of like limiting fear versus like what's healthy fear, you know, like what's reasonable.
Mm.
Like it is gonna be scary being the first to do something in a field where the Black women aren't allowed to be that. And then also the fact that we as
Facts.
Black women always have a greater amount of stress on us to succeed. That's like a whole other aspect of the fear of failure. But it's like there is a reasonable amount of fear that helps you like propel you.
Yeah.
But if it's like rooted in scarcity mindset, like how, you know, Desinae was saying, like being scared to not be able to make ends meet, like that's not a healthy fear. Of course, you should always want to use, because I feel like we talked about that last season, anti-examples.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I feel like reasonable fears and anti-examples can kind of go hand in hand and being like a motivational factor. But at what point does it dictate the choices that we make, and all of a sudden we're making short-term decisions that just keep us from that thing that we're so scared of, rather than the long-term investments that will propel us in the directions we want to go? So it's like, are you willing to make that investment? And it's big that you did that, Desinae. Like you really took that step and was like, all right, listen, something's got to change.
Yeah.
It's got to be me. I'm the something.
Choices.
Yes. And you know what else, like okay, where else this really creeps into my life is like being a daughter of God. Like I feel like I really self-sabotage myself because I know that God has big plans for me. And I know what I'm supposed to be doing because he literally told me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, said it in my ear, like literally told me. And I feel like I keep going back to those things because like while he sees who I'm supposed to be and what he created me to be, I don't see that. And so I keep running back to what I'm used to and what I know, what I'm comfortable to. And I'm like, you know what? This is where I'm comfortable. This is where I'm operating. This is what I was operating in before. And this is what I'm supposed to operate in. But I can't do that because I feel like I'm really self-sabotaging myself and like pushing these things further, along my path, and just kind of like kicking them like further away as I'm walking, like how you kick a rock as you walk and it just keeps getting further from you. That's how I feel like I'm doing it with God's plans. And I'm like, it's crazy because like I'm scared of doing that, but at the same time I'm doing it. Like, you know how you're so scared of something to the point where you're doing it? Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. And it's just like, when will I stop? When will I just give it up? When will I just allow myself to fully like just take that leap and go and like not look back? That's something that I'm definitely like really struggling with right now. And I'm like, Jada, just do good. And I feel like I'm doing the opposite of what I know I'm supposed to be doing because I'm just so scared of where that good is going to take me. And I just need to have faith that God is a God that stands on his word regardless and does not switch up. I mean, he's never failed. Like there is a song that says like, God never fails, so why would he fail now? And it says he won't. So I just have to like keep playing that song in my head. and remind myself like it's not me. So Jada, just do your job. Do your job.
So he can do his.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
It really be so simple.
It really do.
Right.
Like 1 + 1 = 2. But I'm trying to make it 5. I don't know why.
It reminds me of this
Yeah.
podcast episode I was listening to last week, more so about procrastination, because that's where I'm at. I be procrastinating so bad, and it's not rooted in fear. It's not I've been playing with my necklace on my face. Please ignore me. I be just doing whatever. I'm talking like, why does my chin feel like that? Because there's a chain on it.
Why am
What
I
doing?
restricted?
I forget we're on camera. Shoot, like, okay, what was I even saying?
Podcast.
Procrastination.
Yes.
I feel like for me, it hasn't been rooted in the fear of failure. It's just I don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. I'd rather be doing something else. And so I will go do something else every time. And so I felt you, Jada, when you were saying, like, I'm scared of doing the thing that I'm literally doing. Like, I'm tired of procrastinating. I'm tired of it. And I'm scared of losing motivation. And I'm literally here doing the thing that I'm scared of. So it's like, okay, so what are you going to do?
Yeah,
like,
which
I don't
one
know.
wins?
But yeah.
Yeah.
Figuring that one out.
Yikes.
Pending.
Y'all got me over here. Dot. Y'all got me over here going through it. Like, I'm not gonna get emotional this episode because I don't feel it brewing, but definitely talking about like how God literally has that plan for you, and He's talking to you, and He's telling me, He's giving me the ideas. They are popping up in my head, and it's like, why do I feel like how Cam said, literally like a fraud? Like, who am I to think I could do something like that? Somebody else is already doing it. Let them do it. They're more experienced. They're more established. Let them do it. And it's like just having that faith in myself that what I'm doing like is worth something and is of value, especially a lot of the things I do. And this comes with like Black Beauty Near You. Like a lot of the things that I do come from things that already exist, but are lacking something. And so like, because it comes from something that already exists, it makes me think like, oh, well, this already exists and it's worked this far. It's worked, quote unquote, this far. So, like just let them do it. But like, I have to remind me, or like y'all, my friends and family remind me like, no, like what you're doing is important. This is like, this aspect of what you're doing is missing from like, the normal life of like a college student. And so it's really hard, like, especially coming up with things of that sort. Like even when I came up like with BBNY University, it's like, okay, like they probably got their own group chats at school that they, do with, or they probably have their own Discord channels that they talk in. Like, why do they need this? And definitely like, okay, like, is this a waste of my time? Like, I just built this whole thing, like, for what? Like, you just wasted time doing that for what? But then on the other end, it's like me battling with the ideas like, okay, but you could also do this to enhance their experience. Who's doing this? Who's creating this? Like, who's bringing this to those spaces? So it's a lot of going back and forth. And one of the things that we talked about, stepping into our confessional today. And I was going to talk about like releasing the time that I had to like release my hold on BBNY and definitely open up to others to get help and not do everything by myself. And definitely that was me overcoming a fear. But I think the biggest one that I'm in right now is balancing my aspirations of being a software engineer and then also BBNY. And then sometimes I see the things that I'm doing with work and I'm like, oh, well, I have to stay here because like I can never do this with BBNY. But then it's like, then I see like, oh, but like I could. And then also not having any examples of people who do both, or not many examples of people who are in the corporate field and are also having their own business and are existing as both and not afraid to bring one part of their career to the other. Like sometimes when I'm doing Black Beauty Near You stuff, I don't talk too much about like what I do professionally. I don't know. Like, I just feel like that's not the space. I don't know. And then when it comes to like work, like I feel like I can't talk about Black Beauty Near You because I don't know, it seems like it's just something separate. If I tell them I'm working on this, they might think, oh, she's taking up time doing something else, and like it's just a whole thing. And then usually when I do like bring it up, it's just like people are like, oh, like that's cool. Or like even when I hear people doing their own thing outside of work, having a life, you know, people actually have lives outside of work. Like it's okay to have that. But when I hear about other people doing that and doing their own thing, I'm like, oh, like wow, like you do something else that's very fruitful outside of work, and it's okay. Like it's just I having like the lack of examples of doing things like that, or seeing a lot of people who do things like that has really been like challenging with me, and just like learning how to balance the two and what that looks like in the future. Even like building a foundation for how I want Black Beauty Near You to grow. It's hard, and it's like, okay, like what am I, like for example, just now I just like have someone to help me out with like my business taxes and stuff like that, and really like get me together. And just taking that step to do that, it's like, okay, like if I want to be for real, I have to get my stuff together. It has to happen. And so to even taking that step, be like, do I really need to? Like, it's been doing good all these 4 years, but it's like, no, you need to grow. So you need to take these steps in order to grow. So it's been a lot of back and forth with like balancing BBNY and my job. Not as far as like the actual balance within time. It's just like in the future, how are they both going to coexist? And I know they can, because God wouldn't give me these two fire burning passions if they weren't, you know, for me. And why would he make me have to choose one? And so I'm just trying to figure out how that's going to work. But you know what? That's my fault, because why am I trying to figure it out? Some things I'm just not going to understand, and I just have to let it go. I'm trying to be too controlling and, you know, like, oh, how is this going to work out? I just have to let go and let God just let him handle it. And so that's what I've been going through. As far as that, it's definitely a battle, but like definitely the reassurance, through like the support and just pushing through. My main thing is definitely like, I wouldn't have had this idea if it wasn't for me or if it wasn't beneficial. So yeah, that's what I've been going through when it comes to like feeling like something is for me, or should I take this route? Should I neglect something? So much.
Thank
so
you
it's
for
definitely
sharing.
a journey.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing. I feel very similar. So we could talk all pot about that, but
yeah.
I definitely feel very similar.
What do we do?
Yeah. This has been something that I feel like I really needed, like this entire conversation, like being honest about these feelings, because as you look and as you listen to this entire episode, you hear that we're all going through the same thing. So knowing that, like, you know, imposter syndrome and fear of failing, like it could feel very isolating in that moment, but realizing that this is a universal feeling for everybody, like also makes it feel a little bit better, because it's like, I'm not the only person that feels this way. So whenever you feel that way, like the best way to like combat it is to really step outside yourself, get with community, talk to somebody, because isolation is where the enemy can really like fill your brain with lies, and will do so easily. And you need to get with somebody that's going to remind you of the truth. Yeah. So definitely do that. Don't sit with these feelings. And also another thing that can probably really help is when you do have these lies and these, you know, these things pop up in your head, write them down, because then when you read it back, you're like, that sounds dumb as hell. You're like, bro, who said that? Like, you know, and so it's just like, but when it's in your head, you're just like, yeah. But then like when you write it down, you're looking at this like, please, like, and you just like really are like pissed off at like why that was even like a thing that you was sitting there entertaining in the first place. So like write it down, because then you're gonna really see how dramatic and how far off these damn lies really are when you look at everything and compare it to what's actually going on. You're gonna be like, no, like for Cam's instance, like, nah, I got all straight A's, and how else would I have done that? You know, other than going through it and like actually being that girl. Like, you know, Des, how did I get and break into an industry, you know what I'm saying, when I only had no experience basically in it? Like, Oh, because what? I worked my ass off. I did my research.
Right.
And I
Right.
negotiated my salary, and I was that girl. Jada, you already know, like, girl, you've been balancing this shit easy peasy on the outside, it looks like. And
Girl.
you've made both grow. You've made both grow hella, and you're doing it. You're taking leaps, you're taking bounds. Like, how else was you gonna do it? Because you're that girl too. So definitely, like,
right back at you, sis. And I'm gonna hit you with yours too.
And you.
Right. Like, babe.
Miss exponential growth within a matter of a month, right?
You're
This is unbelievable. To this
literally
day,
coaching
record
people.
breaking,
Like,
You just signed 2 new
transforming
clients this
finances.
month.
yeah.
You're signing clients back to back.
Like,
Yeah.
what? Shut up.
And whatever you talk about working, because you got 2 testimonials right here.
It's doing a damn thing. Hello.
Who are you? I'll tell you who you are. Because listen.
Okay.
Thank you, y'all.
That's so real.
Yeah.
Yeah, the affirmations are needed. So get with people who can affirm you for real, because when you are in that place where your dreams are bigger than the vision that you have for yourself, you got to get with people who can add into the vision for you and kind of gas you up and let you know that you have what it takes to get where you got to go, and not try to make your dreams smaller to make it more attainable, because at the end of the day you can literally do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm telling that to myself, I'm telling that to all of us, telling that to all of y'all.
Yes. Didn't we talk about that? I think there was an episode in season 1 where we said, like, trying to make ourselves like digestible for other people, where really we need to be taking up that space.
Yeah.
Take up your space.
Okay. I literally just I had a panel today. I had to talk to some girls about that too. Like, take it up. And we talked a lot about this too. And I'm so happy it was me like more so giving advice, but this really gave me the space to get that advice too and get out like Jada said, like the things that I've been struggling with. So this has been really helpful. And please, you know, go back to anything that we said and write it down. Write it on a post-it, put it on your mirror so you see it every day. So you can just be reminded of what you need to do to overcome, you know, the fears and stuff. Because it's
so
like,
what's one affirmation do y'all want to end the pod with?
I'll go with something I already mentioned. God wouldn't put that idea in your head if it wasn't for you. It wasn't a mistake. So take that, and especially if the idea keeps popping up multiple times, maybe it's for you. Take it, grab it, run with it. He's trying to talk to you. Like, please take that and run with it. It's for you. Like I said, it wasn't a mistake. So act on it, and believe and have faith in yourself and God that idea or those ideas that you're sitting on will happen, can happen. You just gotta do the work. He gonna be there to support you. Now it's your turn to do a little something.
I took all that in. I just feel like you're just talking to me. Bro. That's all for tonight, folks.
I'm trying to think of an affirmation. I'm trying to think of it.
If God qualified you, then who's gonna speak against that? God qualified you. That's all you need. And on top of that, you trying to do it by yourself is the only time where it's impossible. But you plus God always makes it possible.
Come on.
Always.
And don't let you have a group of friends that support you.
And got a big brain like you do. Yeah.
Invincible.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I just want to leave everybody with that scripture from Job. It's Job 4. And it's the amplified AMP translation, because when I was trying to find it in other translations, it didn't say exactly that, but he was in perfect knowledge is with you. So take that with you wherever you go. If you have a dream, a vision, whatever it is for your life that you don't know how you're going to do it, how you're going to get there, do you even have the connections? Do you have do you have the finances? Like, You don't have to figure out all the steps all the way through. Start with what you know and know that the one who is with perfect knowledge is with you. So he's going to give you what you need as you go. Sometimes you just got to start. Starting sometimes is the scariest part.
Facts.
And then for me, I'll just say that the idea of failure is more scary than the failure itself. And once you actually do feel like you failed, you realize that you haven't failed until you give up. And even if you do fail at something, it's really not that bad, because then you know it wasn't meant for you, and you can go find what is meant for you.
You better preach that.
So, yeah, get through it. Face it. Face the fear. That's what's good.
Yeah, that was perfect.
And have courage. That's all I gotta say, y'all. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing it with fear by your side and still doing it.
That is courage.
And we're gonna end on that note. Because child, I mean, child.
Oh, it's me with the mic. Drops it. It's expensive. I don't want to do that.
Not too much. That was definitely needed. I loved that. And I hope that everyone listening to this, you listening to this, that you really ate this up and that it resonated somewhere with you. And I hope that not only do you take it into yourself and like soak it in, you share it with the people that you know. You create these spaces for the people you know too, because like we said, what we do, we talk about the things that a lot of people don't want to talk about. So we want the people that are in our space to also, take that initiative to bring these conversations to the groups that they're in, family members, friendships, whatever it may be. Because as you see, we all going through the same thing, and we know that you listening, it's a high chance that you are too. So yeah, spread the word. It don't have to be just about 4D. It could, it could be simply what we talked about in here.
Yeah, but rate us 5 stars because it was good.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you.
Yeah. Hello. I think we got a good little 4 deep on this one too.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely 4 deep.
Yeah. Well, girls.
Yeah, we'll see y'all next week. And again, like, subscribe, show some love, comment. We coming back. And follow us on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok if you are following us already. And yeah, we'll see y'all next week.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.